Today I'm talking to Kimi Green, who is on the journey to make the Yelp for financial professionals. You might have heard of it because it's also co-founded by Sam Parr, the co-host of the My First Million podcast, huge fan, and also the founder of Hampton. A little over a year ago, Sam made this tweet, and he was talking about the challenges around finding a CPA for himself, so he created Samslist. And since then, it's become this whole marketplace directory where people can find CPAs, bookkeepers, fractional CFOs, financial advisors, and really any kind of financial professional. So today we get to talk to Kimmy, who is on the path to make this a multi-million-dollar directory marketplace. We talk about everything from Samslist revenue, their current monetization strategy, and what is coming in the future. We talk about how to meet high-profile people like Sam Parr and how to network and get into business with them. I do a little bit of an SEO audit for them, but most importantly, I think this shows you how dedicated you have to be to find success in a niche like finance, one of the most competitive niches on the internet. With that, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Kimi Green. What's the origin story of you getting into directories? I know you started it and you're kind of working with some pretty well-known content creators, so just curious how that unfolded.
So the current directory that I'm working on, Sam's List, which is like a review-based marketplace for financial professionals. That one was my co-founder, Sam Parr's idea. But like 6 months before, I had actually built my own directory for run clubs back in October of 23. At this point, I did not know like what this world was all about. I was just trying to create a business off of run clubs, helping them monetize. I live a pretty nomadic lifestyle. And so I'm like, okay, every run club has an Instagram account. That's like their only form of promoting themselves, talking about themselves, and letting people know where to find them and how often. So I'm like, okay, what if I can get all of that information, put it into a database, which was just a spreadsheet at the time, and then hook it up to like a Wix page or whatever. I think I use Wix or Webflow. And then people, if they're traveling or moving, like they can search by city, state, borough, and find a run club based on, I think I had also like some characteristics of like a women's, because there's a ton of like women only run clubs, men only run clubs, LGBT run clubs. There's literally a run club for like any subgroup you could think of. So I was doing that, and that would be what I would call how you can make a headache of a directory platform, not researching at all about like how, like, I wish I would have watched your videos or knew about you before that run club one, because that one could be making me like passive income. Like I get form submissions from that website every single day. I haven't even logged into the page to refresh it or anything, but somehow people are finding it. So that was my first experience with it. I can't wait to like touch it up again now that I kind of know like, all right, what's the search volume for these certain keywords? How can I use Ahrefs? How can I optimize all the pages for SEO? Yeah, so that was like V1 of Kimmy learns how to build a directory. V2 would be I met Sam Parr a couple years ago online, host of My First Million, co-founder with Joe Spicer of Hampton. Reached out to him a few years ago, and he reached out to me back in February of 24 about a directory for people to find CPAs. Sam, Joe, myself, we're the three co-founders. Not one of us has an accounting background. We've all worked like adjacently to these industries, but like we're not the person running audits or doing your tax returns or providing any sort of financial advice. So a lot of fun. You learn a lot very quickly. But it kind of helps because our inexperience in this industry has allowed us to kind of take the unique approach of like, all right, we're just trying to help other business owners and entrepreneurs or high net worth people find accountants, financial advisors, and fractional CFOs for their businesses. And there's a lot of bad actors out there. A lot of their websites are so confusing. They share a sentiment that doesn't accurately reflect who they are. They don't share their pricing. Like it's a very sketchy industry. And I've met with like hundreds of these people at this point. And it's so fascinating to see like one, what you see about them on their website, like how they'll communicate with you on email. And then when you're on the phone with them, like what they'll say. And so just like bringing transparency like to this industry, specifically with reviews, like we want people to think of us like a Yelp for these financial professionals. Like we don't make money if you write any of these reviews, but we just want to help you during your vetting process being like, okay, I'm meeting with Joe Schmo out in Phoenix, Arizona. What are people saying about him? Or, hey, I love Betty Schmo out in Waco, Texas. I'm going to go write her a raving review or something like that. And that's helping people. Like when people are on Samslist, they can see all of the reviews. If someone even has reviews, why don't they have reviews? That's weird. Like go get those reviews. It's a great add-on and value add for yourself to use, like get your business out there. This is like V2 of my like directory experience, came through my
Crazy
connection.
jump, by the way. Going from run clubs to like one of the hardest niches in the world, accounting.
Tell me about it. So it's fascinating because like I said earlier, at its core, you can, which I would actually love to try this out. I would love to create the bare bone version of the Samslist that exists today to be a simplistic directory, like not a marketplace, a directory. Way simpler to do. Way simpler to do compared to what exists now today. I've basically been getting an MBA in accounting and finance for the past year because I just didn't realize how much I would need to know to help build a platform that can help other people do what we're trying to say. So like a core example of this would be when we launched Samslist in March of April. We were building it from February to March, launched in April. So when we launched with this, everywhere you would see find a CPA. Find a CPA or a good tax strategist, which to any average person, when you think CPA, tax person, like that's what you associate with accountant. Over time, speaking with most of the people who exist on Sam's list that are accountants, some of them don't even do your taxes. Some of them will only do your taxes if you have a unique financial situation. Like you're a high net worth, ultra high net worth individual, you own a ton of real estate, you have a bunch of K1s, like, all of that stuff. So then when you have like thousands of people coming to your page, like, hey, I make $200,000, I'm looking for a CPA. And you're like, why isn't anyone getting back to this person? It seems like a great lead to me. They don't want to work with them. And it could just be the people that we have on Sam's list. But because myself and our two co-founders didn't realize that there's all these different thresholds that accountants, accounting firms have for their clients, like some of them only work with specific industries, a certain person type. Like we just didn't realize that. So it kind of made for a muddy user experience in the beginning, but that's where I would say like more education came into play. So now when I'm like trying to talk about Sam's list, it's a little bit more wordy than when I would speak about it day one. Like I'm like, if you're a business and instead of hiring a CFO or hiring a senior tax accountant, director of accounting, and another accounting person to build your accounting and finance team, you can actually outsource your accounting to a firm specialized in your industry and stage and needs for a fraction of one of those individuals that you wanted to hire. And so now it's just like I meet with all these people. I'm like, okay, what do you do? Why are you different? Why do you do it this way? Case studies that I can share. So that when we have leads, or like I'm creating certain pages more for SEO, but education purposes as well. Like I know how to better communicate that. This is only because we've turned more into a marketplace than a directory, to where I'm communicating more with people. When I'm posting online, I want to make sure that I'm saying the right stuff. Like honestly, close to the first year, anything that Sam posted about Sam's list was only about, he would just say CPAs.
Right.
And then we'd get an influx of people looking for a tax accountant. And then maybe out of like the thousands of people coming for that reason, like 2 of them would be a good fit for the firms on our site. So there's been adjustments. I'm super thankful for it. Like it's pretty cool, but at the same time, you're like, wow, I did not expect to be getting my
Like get myself
master's in
into.
this.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my best friends is an accountant, so he tells me stuff and it just goes right over my head. But I think that if you can solve it, we were talking before, and this can be like easily a multi-million-dollar directory marketplace situation because the pain point's so high. I've had a bad accountant. I remember he was like, he had great 5-star reviews on Google. And so I just went to him. He seemed like a cool guy. And then he started saying weird stuff like those crypto gains, like you don't have to like, just don't include that in your income. I'm like, I feel like, okay, that's probably not like what you should say. Like maybe that's what my friend should say, but that's a little sketchy coming from you, like a certified like accountant. Anyways, I don't work with that guy anymore, but
I can't legally recommend accountants for you, but what I can tell you, we have a handful, like I know three off the top of my head who specialize in working with content creators. I talked to
Okay.
one of them for 3 hours 2 weeks ago. It's insane the knowledge he has about your industry from a tax perspective.
I am down. I need to use Sam's list. That needs to happen. By the way, I think you should still create a run club directory if like you can somehow streamline that. Just because I recently looked into that and the run club websites are still pretty trash. It's
Trash.
awful out there, and you see their analytics and they're getting good traffic. So you can probably do something there. Just
Do
a
you want to
side
see
note.
it?
Yeah, let's pull it up.
It's so bad, but whatever. I've never told anyone the name of this for a reason because I'm like so embarrassed. Go to, this is so embarrassing. Go to runclubseverywhere.com.
Runclubseverywhere.com. Okay. I mean, I don't know
It's
what you're
rough.
ashamed about. This looks fine. This looks great. You're ranking for some keywords. If someone's like really going crazy about it and looking into Almost Friday Run Club, you're on the second page. That's fine. I would not be ashamed of this. This is solid.
Well, like, no, just having the
But
knowledge that I know now, like specifically with SEO, I'm like, oh, I know what I need to do to make this better. Like, did not touch any meta settings, couldn't tell you what an H1 was when I built this. Like, I think it has potential, again, from a simplistic standpoint. But yeah, this was my like
100%.
first attempt.
Well, I think you should still keep building it. I actually have a couple questions with this, with Sam's list, because it's such an interesting niche. It's a very difficult niche. It's a high trust situation. How do you like gain someone's trust with a listing, which is just composed of text and images, with something that's so high stakes like a directory? Like, how do you think about that? And I know you have reviews. I know you have testimonials and pricing information. It looks really flushed out. It looks really good. And I'll share my screen to show people just how enriched this directory is because it's really impressive. Like if I
Yeah,
click on
click
one
on
of these,
someone who has reviews so they can see.
um,
Yeah, so how we look to get the trust of any user on our site, just looking at that review, we welcome all reviews. First of all, that's one thing we put out there. We don't take down reviews unless, something's harmful, threatening, then we'll take it down. But like all reviews are on the site. We don't manipulate them at all. All of the firms on our site are vetted. So the first 200-ish firms on Sam's list, myself, Sam, and Joe called every single one of them. If they didn't answer the phone or call us back, we emailed them to collect all of their information. For the most part, we met with most of them and still do to this day. So like going into it, we were already vetting them to be on our site. There were a couple that were like, I don't share, at least for me. I don't know if Sam had anyone. I think Sam maybe had like one guy turn him down, but I know I had a handful of people like, oh no, I don't share my prices. I don't share, like they're just super sketchy. So like they're not on the site. And then now we have a more streamlined process where we're asking them all of their questions. And then I go to public databases like the SEC, CPA Verify, Broker Check to verify like this person and their business is real. Are they in good standing with the government? Like I'm doing all these background checks to make sure like who we
wow.
have on our site, is up to some sort of a standard. We don't have
Mhm.
any intentions or ambitions of having every financial professional and their mom on Sam's list. What is our cap? I don't know. Right now we're sitting at about 300 total. And then we have
Mhm.
probably a wait list of 70 or so people waiting to be on the site. And so, how we want to build trust is like, hey, we're speaking to them, we're reviewing them before they're on our website. We ask that all of them get reviews. Please look for that. We ask for all of them to be transparent and like what they actually do, who they serve, and their pricing. And what makes it interesting as well from a user perspective, and then also having co-founders who don't have this background in finance, we're building this site because all three of us actually need this person. So like the idea, the genesis of Sam's list came from Sam actually needing an accountant. So he posted on LinkedIn and Twitter, like, who has recommendations for me? It got hundreds. Those are the people who he reached out to in the beginning. And then
Nice.
fast forward, he made that post in 2023, yes, or yeah, 2024. And then like 6 months or so later, he used Sam's list and his wife as users. I didn't even know when they were using it till I saw the back end of it. They went through the process just like everyone else, took our quiz. They got put in touch with people who serve people like them. And then they also just browsed the professionals on our site on their own and used a contact form. Because we have two ways that you can use our site. You take a quiz, or you just browse on your own, set your filters, and fill out a contact form. So like Sam actually needed that. I have an accountant right now. I honestly love this man to death. He's really good at what he does. He's not for me. And funny enough, I actually asked him this like before I became a client. I was like, who do you typically work with? And he was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of work with people who are in the service business. I'm like, I'm not in the service business right now. Like at the time, I just had a normal W-2 job. Now I have Samslist and kind of still nomadic a bit, but that just requires a different professional. Now I'm a part owner in a company. Like this just looks a little bit different. So now I
Yeah.
get to use Samslist, I hope later this year, as an actual user. So a lot of like adjustments we make and what we think about the information we share comes from us. Like there was actually a version of Sam's List that existed, I think, back in like December or January, and Sam was like, I don't even know how to use the site anymore. Like all I want is to see a list of people who work with this type of person. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, duh. So we made that change. Like that's why you now see filters there. And then eventually we'll have an
Yeah.
easier page for you to get to. This is kind of like an SEO play, but now you can like
Hmm.
go to industry specific pages, specialty specific pages. So if you're a solopreneur, you'll see financial advisors for solopreneurs or accountants for e-commerce businesses. Like e-com is an industry, you really need to make sure whoever you're working with knows your industry like the back of their hand, because
Oh
especially
yeah.
with tariffs going on, like again, the only reason I even have so much knowledge about this because I speak to all of these guys and they tell me, like, I just learned about a Shark Tank company who's going under. A Shark Tank company, they're going under. What do you
Damn.
mean? You weren't prepared for this? So yeah, there's a couple of plays here, but at the end of the day, I think what makes us unique and how I hope we're building trust with people is like we're legitimately building a site for us to use. Like I've learned so much about financial advisors.
Hmm.
Before we added them onto our site, I apologize. I'm like word vomiting to you, but
It's
before we
cool.
added them
I'm
onto our
listening.
site, I actually met with a financial advisor. They had reached out to me first. And I just thought it was pretty
Hmm.
standard. It was like a 2.5 hour phone call. I don't know what they were talking to me about. I just knew they were wasting my time and I couldn't wait to get off of it. Whatever. That was one experience. And they emailed me like, hey, let's schedule a call for next week. I'm like, no, I now know I can't talk to you because it's going to last my whole afternoon. So that was super hard. We ended up getting on another call. Fast forward like a month, we add financial advisors to Sam's List. I'm meeting with all of these advisors. Turns out there's different advisors. The one I met with that I didn't know at the time was just selling me insurance that I didn't need. There's RIAs, there's wealth managers, like they're actually handling your money, helping with estate planning, tax planning. My world has just been like opened up. So like now that I have this new knowledge,
Get
I'm
it.
like, all right, I know how we need to be working with and talking about financial advisors. They're also super highly regulated. So, like, that was another learning thing. Again, to reiterate, how I'm hoping we build trust with the users on our platform is like, we're building a product for us to use, specifically business owners, people with a more complicated situation. So everything that
Hmm.
goes into it from the reviewing process, I hope it's reflected into the experience.
It's a good website. You said something that I'm kind of curious about. I'm sure if you asked yourself 2 years ago where you'd be, it probably wouldn't be like immersed in the finance and accounting world. It just seems like all of a sudden you were working with Sam and Joe and creating this business. Like, how did that relationship even start? I'm sure people might be wondering, like, well, Sam's, he looks like a busy guy. He's doing My First Million. He's, running Hampton. Maybe someone wants to also get to know someone and get into business with a high profile person like that. How does that happen? Maybe even just from like a networking perspective, what made you stand out and what ultimately led him to say, "Hey, Kimmy, I trust you to be the person running the ship."
Great question.
Kind of three
Hmm.
questions. My bad. I have a tendency to do that. I have one question layers on seven questions. But yeah, I'm just genuinely curious too.
Yeah, how to get, I would say the best way to get like someone like Sam's attention, now that I've been working with him for over a year, first of all, I picked up on this like immediately when I met him. And I think me working with him today is a testament to like, it's surprising. Like, he actually sees and often responds to people who reach out to him. In my mind, I have a bad problem of DMing what I consider high profile people quite often, kind of as a joke. Sometimes I'm like, it would be pretty great if they did reach out. I thankfully never like DM Sam anything, but that just like shocked me because like when I send these messages, I'm like, they're never going to see it. It's just like a joke that I'll have with myself. But when I got access to Sam and his world, someone will be like, hey, I have this really cool business idea. And he may provide feedback, he may take a call, or he won't. For Sam's list, I think it was different because like a lot of the stuff, he would bring me in on a lot of calls for people who reached out to him, but it was like people who were offering to help us or like could give us guidance in the early days. So like that I understand. But I guess to kind of address it as more direct as I can, I think because he gets dozens of inbounds per day from people being like, hey, can I work with you? Hey, can you invest in my company? Just showing him the value add up front in a way, like don't send him a novel, don't send him all these attachments and slides decks, just like get to the point in the beginning. And like still to this day, that changes how I respond to his like text messages or phone calls every day. I'm like, he's not going to read a paragraph if I send him a paragraph, and we're business partners. Granted, if we're like on a call longer where we're like talking about specific stuff, like I know I'll have his attention, but when we're just texting, like I got to keep it short. This man is a co-CEO of Hampton, hundreds of $1 million worth company. Like, keep it concise and stand out. I think another way I got his attention is I'm like adjacent to his world. Like, if you look at all of Sam's million followers, I would say, like, for the most part, a lot of them like have the same interests, do the same stuff. And I'm interested in a lot of that stuff, but like most of my interest in stuff is like not like the traditional person that follows Sam. And he likes that weird stuff in a weird way.
I
If
saw
you
the
know
failed
Dave,
bagel shop or the
what?
failed donut shop. I saw the failed donut shop blurb on Sam's list, and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole other ordeal. I don't even think he knows the specifics of that one. But funny enough, going to the run club before I quit my full-time job to do Sam's List full-time, Sam had asked me when I was I was getting lunch. Our office was in Midtown Atlanta, and I was walking to lunch. And on my way, he called me and he was like, hey, when are you going to quit your job and go all in on Sam's List? At the time, I was like, oh, I'm actually about to quit next week to go all in on my run club business, so I'll have more time for Sam's List. And he was like, run club business? What do you mean? I like gave him the 1 sentence summary. And he was like, do you come from money? No. He's like, good luck with that business. I was like,
That's
all
that
right,
sounds exactly like something Sam would say.
it is, yeah. No, he's very direct. But yeah, anyways, like so Dave Portnoy, founder CEO of Barstool Sports, very successful company. He's a character, very controversial. If you look at his employee base, like specifically the content creators, they're all over the place. Like they're very, very good at what they do. They're all specialized in something specific, and they just like stand out, and they're very much them and who they are. And in a tech world, I think Sam is kind of similar to that. Like he's authentically himself. He loves weird people. He loves passionate people. He loves to love. Like he just like goes after those anomaly characters. Like he can do anything he wants to at this point in his stage. If he wanted to hire everyone who reaches out to him, he could easily do that. If he wanted to invest in every company that reaches out to them, he could easily do that. But like he's kind of looking for that, like, I don't know, that just like that oddball character. Like what makes your business special? Like, I don't know, like all again, his followers, it's all the MFM crowd, the all in pod, Twitter fanatics. That's what they're doing in their free time, golfing. I'm on my ripstick, or I'm watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, or like just like I don't know if those are good examples, but just to kind of show you the contrast maybe of like me versus like someone else trying to get his attention maybe. I don't know. Like I would love to see how he answers that question, but to pin it down, I'd just say like don't copycat. Keep it brief, be interesting, and show the value.
Yeah, I feel like that's something you can't really be taught. And I feel like I mean, even your first message to me, which I'm no one. I'm a small potato of all the potatoes in the world. I'm the smallest. You said something like, so is it crazy? Like how crazy is it after Greg's podcast? And I have like all these messages that are like, hey, can you like vet my directory idea? Can you like research into this niche and do some keyword research? Check how I can get backlinks. And I'm like, bro, that's like a 40-minute task, man. Like I spend time doing this for myself. Like if I go do it, I'm gonna do it right. And then there you are, you're just like, dude, how's it going? I'm like, oh, this is nice. This is a nice change of pace. It's like a nice change of scenery. And there's like a secret sauce. There's like a gut feel, intuition of like what's right to say. And I feel like you have that. And I can totally see how you're just like also unapologetically yourself. It's cool. It's cool to see in a world of tech bros and like really serious people building. That's pretty refreshing. So
I appreciate it. It's yeah, your message one, I've listened to that podcast of yours with Greg 2 times. Outscraper was like the biggest hack for me. Thank you for your services, Bray. So I just had a feeling you were probably the message, I think, yeah. I think the message I sent you was like, how bombarded are you right now with DMs? Like that was a really good episode. And then we kind of just got to chit chatting. And I think it was like 2 months later, 3 months later, I think I reached out to you specifically with a question. I think I was just like, hey, our traffic sucks, which it does, and it still does. I think I just asked for your feedback. That wasn't what I was going into it 2 months ago, but then I kind of went into like, okay, what would Frey do differently with Samslist? Like, which would actually,
yeah.
you should do a live audit, a 10-second audit of like, this is what I would change with Samslist.
Here's the thing. I feel like you have such a good problem to have because what you described with Sam's List, yeah, you have a rich person's problem. You have your bottom of the funnel working and it's just a traffic issue. I feel like most people are the opposite. It's really just not getting any traffic. Therefore, you can't even test the bottom of your funnel. Some of your SEO is working, by the way. I would give yourself more credit.
I wrote down these numbers specifically for our call. Do you mind if I read them out loud?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Traffic from, you can look these up, but traffic from our competitors, Smart Asset, 3.1 million. Clutch, 472,000. Sam's List, 500.
All right, here's the thing. They've probably been around for something like 25 years. And SEO is one of those things where it takes the age of the domain into account. It takes some time to build trust. I see you're working on backlinks. That's all good stuff. From a quick
I know you have
view,
some thoughts.
I have some hot takes. I was looking at your top pages. This was kind of the first passing thought that I was looking at. And most of your traffic's going to your homepage. That's fine. I'll ignore that for now. But the second one is this blog around the best accounting firms for startups. Is this an actual blog or is this maybe a page
Gotta
that
be
will
kidding
become
me.
a blog? Are you
Our
serious right now?
Our
Um,
blog page has been the bane of my existence for the past month. It keeps doing stuff like this. I'm
I
so glad
mean,
this is recorded. I'm gonna send a snippet to my developer and be like, what just happened?
the good news is that the fact that there's no content here and you're somehow getting 70 people on a monthly basis coming here, that's a good sign. Like if you built it out, that'd be a good thing. Somehow this page is ranked on the second page of Google, rank 15 for best accountants for startups. So I guess what I thought was this niche was insanely difficult, but there's probably some long tail keywords that are pretty easy to rank for. Another thing is like, I think blogs are fine. They probably make a lot of sense for you in your niche. I always try to think about AI and like where that's going. It's kind of known that informational blogs are dead, although it still works for a lot of niches. But I'm just thinking like 2, 3, 4, 5 years into the future, how do I make the most traffic pages ones that can't be answered by ChatGPT in a single prompt?
So your
There,
recommendation is like basically creating more pages for categories.
it can be that. We would have to look at the search volume here, but maybe like one of the lower hanging fruits is actual search volume behind well-known CPAs or financial institutions. Like, let's just say, for example, Fayette Finance. You know, what I would do, maybe it's sparse, but I can't tell if this is the actual company here, but let's just say it was. It gets searched over 100 times a month. If you can just leverage the search volume that some of these financial companies or these bookkeepers or whatever it is getting, then that might be a way to get more traffic. Maybe someone's out there comparing one versus another. It seems likely because it's a niche where people want to do your research. Like when I go and find my accountant, I'm going to make sure I don't make the same mistake and choose an accountant who's just going to tell me to not to report my crypto income. The leverage from actual existing search volume around specific accountants would be a play. Like you can go even really long tail if you want. You talked about financial advisors. One of my best friends is also a financial advisor, and he talks about how they deal with like trusts and wills, and there's situations where someone who's high net worth is getting a divorce, whatever. There's like some politics happening in the background, and they want to make sure their property goes to their blood. So they go to like a financial advisor, which is kind of like counterintuitive in a lot of ways, but people are looking for that. So you can find the keyword that matches that intent. You don't have like a lot of search volume, but you have the right search volume. I talked to someone who is a high-end fashion stylist. She charges like $6,000 a month for like basically helping you find wardrobe pieces. And she was like, hey, can you do an audit? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's take a look. Oh, you're kind of killing it. You know, you're getting like 5,000-6,000 monthly visitors for something that's a high-end service. That's really solid. And then I looked it up. Her top pages is like, what did Ryan Gosling wear at the Met Gala, or whatever, like what did this person wear to the Grammys? And I was like, hey Ashley, just a question, do you think the same people coming to this page are going to be the people paying $6,000 for your service? And then that's when the light bulb moment went off, and she was like, oh, like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're a high-end service. Go for the low traffic, long tail, very specific, narrow search intent keywords. That's where you win. Over time, you can get enough. That's what I would recommend. Anyways, not to make this about Ashley and her high-end
No, that's a
fashion.
really good example, by the way.
I
Like
appreciate it.
that's a great example. It was similar to that. It was at our Sam's List 1 year call. So me, Sam, and Joe, the co-founders, Sam had asked me a question of like what keywords or what pages of ours are ranking the best, and I was like, I don't know. And he's like, wait, what? Anyone listening to this are gonna be like, why is Sam letting this idiot run a company? Yeah, no, I hear you. And ever since then, I am checking Google Analytics, checking our Google console. We also have Fathom, looking at I'm looking at everything now every single day to see how our pages are doing, what's captured. Like, funny enough, one of our pages almost every single day, like at the top for search, is one of the accounting firms. So I guess people who are already in talks with this one specific accounting firm, they're looking for them, and then they're clicking on the Sam's List page to find more about them outside of what they have on their site. And that's music to my ears. That means they're adding us into their vetting process for them. Or I know this firm pays for ads. So I'm like, or they saw an ad for them and they're like, who are these guys? And they use Sam's List as a part of the vetting process. So what you said about Ashley and the fashion stuff definitely resonates, and would highly consider anyone to take that for sure.
Also, side note, like what you said about people using a directory as part of their vetting process. This is someone in my community, Andy, and he has this daycare directory. People are about to drop 2,000. I don't have kids, but apparently it's like $2,000 a month. And the amount of data enrichment he has, like if you think about it, you're a parent, you're about to trust your kid and basically hand them off to a bunch of strangers. You're going to do some research to make sure they're licensed, which he has it here. But like, even just entertainment stuff, are they going to do a good job entertaining? He has like schedules, he has like programs by age group, special activities, like it just kind of keeps on going. It's kind of insane. But I can
Parents
see
will eat
someone,
that up.
oh yeah, like why wouldn't someone just choose this over the actual website for whatever, West Park Kindercare? They probably might have that information, but do they have it all in one spot with like other like reviews and stuff like that? Yeah, 100%. That's a good way to approach your directory as like a bigger picture, which is, can they actually use my website as part of the decision-making process, just because, there's trust there and stuff. It's really smart. Are you open to sharing revenue for Sam's List? Is that a secret, or is that something I'm just curious as someone.
No, we do. Well, at least I try to do recaps every month. Sam will post it, say it on his podcast, wherever. So for the year, we're like close to around 200K. Sorry, that's April of 24 to April of 25, May to 25. So around 200, basically breaking even right now. My goal for the end of the year would love to surpass 1 million. I think it's extremely doable. If everything goes well, I think we can make it happen. So for context, how we got to our first 200K was just selling leads. Like that's been our only form of monetization. So we have people pay, everyone on Samslist is on our site for free, and then people can opt in if they want to pay us to receive leads. So for those people that pay us, it's only like literally a small fraction, probably out of the 300 people on Sam's list, no more than 30 have ever paid us.
Wow.
And to give you context, and we got to 200K with that.
That is
Hopefully
really
in June, we'll get to roll out a tiered subscription model. So right now we're creating all of these like, industry specific, specialty specific, long tail keyword pages. And we're going to put people on all these pages so that when people are searching for a specific type of person, like you'd be like CPA for content creator or entrepreneur, or I think you say don't call yourself an entrepreneur, but whatever. Those would all be different words you could use and sift through and everything. So we have a bunch of different add-ons we're about to bring so that we can have a 3-tiered subscription model, and that will help get us to our first million. That's how all marketplaces go, like directory, marketplace, what sort of SaaS can you build on top of that? So I think there's some other routes we could take, but before we even touch that, we want to become like a miniature version of Clutch. So if you're a business owner, if you want to outsource, like if you want a fractional HR company, if you're looking for a marketing agency, a web developer, an attorney, for whatever reason, we'll have someone for you. So we're starting with financial services right now. I think it's been a great learning experience. Wow, has it been hard, but probably the best learning experience you could ever get if you're trying to like go deep into this marketplace world. And then we'll add other industries later.
100%. What's the idea behind that? Is that an MRR play? Is that because selling leads is like tedious and it's like, man, we have to take this lead and then like go to someone and then see if they can close that lead and then see value? Are you basically just charging for what's already in place, which is the lead pass off?
There's a couple of reasons. One, transparently from like a management perspective, right now, most people are using our quiz to get in touch with people. And that's great. We want our quiz to be like one of the first things you want to do when you're on sale. Well, second things, we want you to read the reviews first and then want to take our quiz, because the quiz has benefits right now to where you fill it out and the people who are seeing your information, if they're getting in touch with you, they're only getting in touch with you because they've reviewed your quiz and they've said, yes, Frey Chu is the type of person, he's in the business and stage that I specifically work with. I can help him out. So that's the beauty of taking our quiz, is that it's actually the professionals like reviewing and saying yes or no on the fit. But I want to push people more to browse around our site. Like when you go to Clutch's website right now, it's very clear. Like you can go to the different industry types and you can browse, and it's like very clear that it's in your hands to contact them, and they sort of hide their quiz. They have a quote unquote quiz. It's called Post a Project there in the top right corner, but you can miss it if you're not looking for it. For us, even though we have contact buttons in a contact form, the way we've just set up our website isn't accommodating to users trying to look on their own, really. In conjunction with that, every single day, not exaggerating at all, every single day, I have vendors being the accountants, fractional CFOs, and financial advisors, reaching out to me about what they can do to get more visibility on Samslist. What better way to get visibility than taking our 3 core pages and turning them into hundreds of pages? So it's like, all right, you want to be featured more? Well, on tier 1, I'm going to give you the option to show up on 50 more pages so that people can discover you. If you want to show up at the top in a featured section, like that can be an add-on. If you want to have your own custom contact form, that's going to be a part of a tier. So what we've realized is, so right now we have a very standard contact form, and it's basically you're answering the same questions that are on our quiz, but this is only going to that specific person that you're reaching out to. And it works great for the most part. But as you can expect, accountants, advisors, fractional CFOs, they all have their own specific questions that they want to ask people who are reaching out to them. So that was also like from feedback I was getting, was like, hey, can you actually change this question on your quiz, hey, can you do this? We're going to modify the questions on your contact form. That's going to be behind a paywall in addition to all the pages. Receiving leads, that's going to go behind a paywall for more partners. So right now we've been capping the amount of people that we work with because we don't want to, what our competitors do is that they send your information to like 10 people at a time. We cap it at
Classic.
3. Sometimes you won't even get anyone. Like, honest, I feel so bad, but half of our users in 2024 never got an introduction because their business or their income fell under $500,000 and we just didn't have anyone for them. Now we do have people who can accommodate that, finally. So that's helped us a ton. In a perfect world, like we want to be able to still send it to people and set that cap limit to 3, but now it's just being seen by more eyes. And so it's just modifying like the lead flow transfer in that way. There's a handful of differences. It's basically going to be like 2 or 3 tiers, and the core like differentiation between each level is the visibility that that firm is getting across our site. That's the biggest one. Like get them in front of the user in as many ways possible. 2, give them the ability to customize their own contact form because they all have their own user sequences that they have on their websites. And then 3, we want the user use Samslist as a part of your vetting process, really get to know if you're interested in working with this person before you even send out that outreach form. All the time, these vendors are asking about like, again, how can I fix my website? How can I fix my Samslist page to better stand out? What do I need to do? And content has been a huge one. I am not a content person by any means. Like, I like to spoof. I like to have fun. I don't take it too seriously, but it has actually worked pretty well for like brand awareness for Samslist and like kind of knowing what hits and what doesn't, like how to speak to your users online. So we added like a media section on one of these tiers so they can upload photos, videos, documents, like really anything you would share with a potential client. Pure Water, I think. They have documents on their website right now. They grew their business by like really honing in on crypto. And so he has like all of these help guides and informational documents that really like break down crypto investments and from a tax perspective when you're working with an accountant. So like he's uploaded that onto his page on Samslist. And then that's cool because then we at Samslist can post about it in our blogs and our content to be like, hey, if you're a crypto investor, like check out these guys at Pure Water. They have all these help guides. They know what they're talking about. You don't want to end up in a bad situation when it comes to crypto. Like anything we can do to help push these guys content wise, like we're going to allow that to happen. So just giving them the ability to showcase more of who they are, what do they look like, how do they speak? All of those are factors. I want an outgoing accountant, I think. Well, I do know that. My current accountant is so timid. Again, he's great at what he does, but now that I've met with hundreds of accountants, I'm like, wait, this person, they're so fun. They're easy to talk to. I can have fun banter with them. Like, I want that because they know the most inner workings of my financial situation and I want to feel comfortable. We have another guy on our site who's super quiet, like your stereotypical accountant. He's really good at what he's done. And he signed like a dozen people on Samslist so fast. Like people love him. But I just know I would be uncomfortable working with someone who's more quiet than me, probably.
I have a few recommendations if you want me to go over them that could help with SEO and just like conversion rate stuff. Because you're saying some good stuff right now. And I want to show you if that's cool. Okay.
Yes, that's what I want.
Let's first start with some very basic stuff. Like you're talking about tiers and getting more visibility for these people. One of the things from an SEO perspective that I think would really, really help is I was looking at this and I was like, wait, why are your blogs ranking? I mean, you have content in other places and we also already saw that there's no content. Shouldn't your traffic be going to your pages like this? But then when I saw this URL, this part of the URL is giving you a lot of trouble in terms of having Google index your website. In a lot of cases, I looked this up, it's called a query parameter. This is really common with like programmatic directories where you type in a zip code and it creates like this dynamic URL based on what zip code and city you put. This oftentimes either really hurts your indexing or just Google doesn't even index this page. Google doesn't know that this page exists. If we compare that to Clutch, let's just go to advertising, they keep it really simple. There's no weird, it's really clean. And so I think like that's the first thing that I would fix. You can go to your team and be like, we need to make these either static pages or we need to fix this URL. There's one website, I'm trying to find a good example. It's a yoga website, one of the most dominant ones in the world for helping people find yoga retreats. It's a pretty successful directory. And they implemented this from a user experience perspective. But then what they did, which was really smart, is they went off and created static pages for like a yoga retreat. And the reason they did that is because when Google crawls and indexes your website, it'll rank the static page because the URL is clean. So this is good to keep. Like, I mean, obviously this is really helpful from a UX perspective. From an indexing perspective, I would fix that. Another thing is that, you're talking about your preferences with accountants. And for me personally, I like, for whatever reason, always felt more comfortable finding an accountant near me. I guess that's because I wanted to go visit them and talk face to face. So that's a thing. This is somewhere where you could be taking advantage of too. I just type in CPA San Antonio, CPA Los Angeles, CPA New York. Like these location pages are things that you can build nationwide. And now you can sort of funnel them in that way, get some traffic that way, because the search intent is really clear. This is somewhere that I would definitely focus and just create a massive map of location-based static pages. The reason why you also want to do this page doesn't have any internal links, and that's kind of a problem. There's actually a name for it. It's called an orphan page. You want Google to look at your website and be like, oh shit, you have 100 pages, 300 pages. They all like are interlinking together, kind of like a spider web effect. You must be an authority on this topic because every single one of these pages are relevant to each other. And that gives you the benefit, the advantage of topical authority, which is going to help you outrank keywords that maybe Clutch is ranking for. Because Clutch, they're in IT, they're in marketing, they're in design, they're in development. They're all over the place. This is why it's pretty easy for me as a small directory builder to outrank Yelp, because Yelp also covers a million topics, whereas you just hyper specialize in CPAs and accountants. Use that to your advantage. The way you communicate that to Google is have internal links, and there's no easier way to do internal linking than having like CPAs for San Antonio, and then on the very bottom of the page say like find CPAs in Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, El Paso, whatever it is.
Okay,
And
I have
now,
a question about this. For location-based pages, we have something in our footer. I think it's only showing the states right now and not city and state. I thought those were pretty hard to compete against because if someone's typing in CPA in San Antonio, they're going to get like the Google business profiles are going to show up. It's going to target the firms and closest to that person. So what benefit would I get from that?
well, let's take a look. Usually the first sign that I look for is some kind of directory on the front page, because that's proof of concept that directories are preferred from a user perspective, and that's why it's ranking on the top page. If we type in CPA in San Antonio, we see Yelp, which is a directory, and then we have this, which is kind of like directory-esque. It's not an actual CPA. So this is a good sign in my opinion. The fact that there's already 2 directories on the front page, that means that you just have to beat them out. You have to improve on them, drive backlinks to your San Antonio page, and that's what's going to give you a chance to outrank this.
And backlinks to San Antonio pages would come from like doing outreach, saying like, hey, can you link to this page for us? Or if I write a blog, or I guess it's internal linking if I have
That's an internal
blogs.
link. That's
Yeah.
an internal link. So one way that I don't think you realize how much leverage you already have if you have like, especially when the tiers come out and you have some kind of more visual product offering, you can go and say to a San Antonio CPA, hey, I have this website. We help people find CPAs, XYZ, social proof, Sam Parr, whatever it takes. Why don't we feature you for a month? We'll put you on the top, whatever it is, offer them some, barter basically with them. And in exchange, we would love to just be linked on your page, and you can kind of disguise that and say like, we'd love to write a guest post for you. We're kind of pros in this space. Alternatively, you can say from a different angle, use badges. This is like really slept on. We noticed you're crushing it. We saw your reviews. We wanted to give you this badge for the top 10 best CPAs for startups in Austin, Texas. Dude, you're telling me you wouldn't want to put that on your page if you made a badass badge and a dedicated page? Like I would create a blog post called top 10 best CPAs for startups in Austin, Texas, and then feature them on this page. Trees.com, this is a great example.
Trees.com.
This is a tree service like stump removal, that kind of stuff. Really boring. Best tree services in Orange County. You scroll down, bam. There's 20 different tree service companies in Orange County. If I were a 3D tree service company, I would be stoked. I would want people to see this. I would want people to use this as a form of trust and social proof that I'm the man or the girl, whatever.
Question. Okay. This goes back to your earlier question of like, how do you get people to trust you guys?
Yeah.
Similar to your friend with the daycare company. For websites like this, like I know NerdWallet, Investopedia, like they do this stuff all the time. For us, do you think we're good to do that? Like, I would just hate for this is like the touchy part of having Sam as a co-founder. Like, you hear it all, good and the bad. So on the bad, my first reaction is like, oh my God, someone's going to see that. And then they're going to message Sam and be like, who do you think you are labeling these 10 accountants as the best in Dallas, Texas? Am I overthinking that or
make it 50, include them in? But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, if there's like conflicting social politics involved in this, I guess you can say
the average person might not think that. That's just like a thought I have knowing who my co-founder is. You know what I mean? Like I'm probably overthinking it. And if he heard me say that, he would be like, Kimmy, what are you talking about? Just try it. Like he's a very big advocate of like, just do it, you know? Don't overthink certain things unless there's reputational damage, of course, but
it's fine. And I would do it because at the end of the day, an argument for this is like, we're trying to get more traffic. If more traffic comes to the website, guess what? You're going to benefit too. Maybe they're not going to go to you directly right now, but if they're not satisfied with 3D tree services, at least you also benefit in a way. And that's one way you can kind of sell it.
I like this concept. So this works well for location-based pages. So like an example for Sam's List would be like best startup accountants in Miami, Florida.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a multi-purpose page. This is good for badges. This is also good for people who are looking up best accountants, best CPAs for startups in Austin, Texas. And then you put this list and then you can have a call to action to your quiz like, hey, you don't see anyone that you like? Take our quiz. So it's multi-purpose and I would recommend it. The next thing that I would say is that I would definitely just do the location-based stuff for sure. You mentioned something where you want an outgoing accountant. I think what would be really smart is if you already have like a very like interactive network of accountants, CPAs, financial advisors who are willing to put in some work to get more visibility. I know you don't have like a conversion problem necessarily, but why don't they put a video of themselves talking about how much experience they have, previous work they've done, projects that they've just finished, things that just put a human to the face, because that's something that is unscalable, yes, but I feel like the world is going in a direction where unscalable things mean an opportunity to have quality things. I'm seeing it in SEO. I'm seeing it on social media. You can look at YouTube algorithms. Everything online in terms of distribution is going more towards quality. So
can I tell you what I'm literally drafting later today?
Tell me.
So one, the media tab is supposed to be used for that. And this kind of comes into like, it was at the very top. Some of them don't even do it. Bookkeeper 360, they are one of our partners. They don't have any of those media or documents uploaded. So something that I'm trying out right now is a vertical format video. So I'm making these short form videos, basically introducing the accountants on our site. So like I've been posting every day on TikTok for 6 months now. I'm also a consumer of TikTok. I'm on the app once a day, you know. Our industry, you go to the clutches, you go to the smart asset, to your point, there's nothing visual saying who these people are. Like, you know, I want to get to know that person. They're looking at my money. This guy is a fractional CFO. He sent me a video of himself waving, and this is going to be like in the background. So I'm like, hey guys, I want to introduce you to, and it's him. And then he sent me like photos of him and his team, just like doing normal stuff, golf trip, having fun, his family, his friends, and it's introducing him. Like if you go to his website, I think this is his wife. If you go to his website, you won't see any ounce of personality. This is the guy who I met with for 3 hours on 2 Fridays ago. This guy is incredible. using him as an example, so many of them have personality that you do not find online. So I just want to like help them do that if they're not comfortable doing it on their own. But like one way that I like want to leverage the Sam's List name is like, hey, I'm going to create a video for you that's like introducing you and cross post it on our socials as an intro video. Sort of like when someone gets drafted to a sports team, like there's a highlight reel, like similar to that. An angle we may take, I'll be curious to get your thoughts. An angle we may take with Sam's List is kind of like online dating. So if anyone's like,
I saw your tweet around getting a lifetime ban on Hinge, so I can see how this is like entering your mind, and I can see you. I can imagine you being like, "Sam, trust me, Hinge, right?" But for like, we're accountants, swipe left.
Yeah. So when you're on these online dating profiles, everyone has like 5 photos of themselves, prompts. Some of them have videos of themselves, and you're just scrolling, but you get to know, without speaking, you get to know this person. And so, like a similar point, I was like, okay, what if we kind of did a 30-second version of what it's like to scroll on an online dating app, make it kind of feel like that to where it's not an ad. I'm literally introducing you to someone, but you're engaged because like, again, it just feels like you're getting in on someone's life and sort of that behind the scenes. So I kind of want to like merge those two worlds in a respectful way. Like I don't want to lose an audience because of this. Like we're going after the high net worth people. So there's a chance an ideal customer could be like, I hate this. This is not professional. And then I might stop. I think there's a way we can cement ourselves as like the go-to platform for financial professionals. We're bringing life to it. If you want to go find someone stale, everything about their platform is transactional. You are just a dollar sign to them. We are barely making money. Like it's just so fun to build for me. And then hopefully I can own a WNBA team or NWSL team from this. Like, I just think this stuff is fun. Like, if you use Sam's List or not, whatever, I would love for you to, but like, I think it's fun. And if we can like humanize it, bring some personality, I think
I
that's
would
pretty
love that.
cool. Can I ask you really quick about, as the directory king, your take on like is there any benefit to directories or marketplaces incorporating videos on their site? Like, is there any leverage to that with SEO?
If you make it contextual and relevant and it adds value, it can help with things like user signals, right? Google knows how far people are scrolling into your website. They know what you're clicking on. They know how the average session duration looks for your website. So if people are clicking on your video and they stay on that page for an additional 4 minutes because they're getting to know an accountant, that's a very strong user signal that can help your rankings and your SEO. In addition to that, and this is the same with images, you can be discovered on Google Images, and for videos, you can be discovered on the videos tab and sometimes on the main search results page. This is really common for tech tutorials, or like, you'll see MKBHD come up if you're looking up like Tesla review or whatever, something like that. Or Fisker review, the car they put out of business.
I remember when that happened.
All I typed in was MKBHD Fisker. To be fair, this is like somewhat branded. Fisker, let's type in Fisker review out of business or something, see if it shows up.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
so a different video showed up, but it's not MKBHD's, but this is my point. Like for certain queries, I made a copy.ai review back like a few years ago, and I saw a lot of traffic come from this. Maybe it makes sense to do some review related videos, like a way to incorporate review related videos, because clearly that's what's being favored on Google search engine right now. And who wouldn't want to have a in-depth review of their accountant? I feel like from this, you have a good path to hopefully some improvements that'll help your SEO. Has the conversation of AI come up a lot? Because I get a ton of questions like almost every day where it's like, Frey, our directory's cooked. Is AI going to be like destroying my business? Any thoughts around that? Things that you're doing to AI proof your business?
Yeah, I think that's something myself, Sam, and Joe have been discussing more. When we talked about it in 2024, I remember I was like making an 8-hour car ride to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I think Joe sent me a screenshot of like someone in Hampton, their other company, talking about the impacts of AI search results on their business. And we like all three of us hopped on a call and kind of like, what does this look like? I don't think SEO is like fully ruined from that, because like similar to your example where I'm like, why should I spend any time on location-based pages if accounting firms in these areas or financial advisor firms in these areas will show up before me. And then you pulled it up, perfect example. The top 2 non-sponsored placements were directories. So I think that's kind of similar to like the AI impact. One, think people are asking questions. And if you're asking a question to Google right now or an AI search engine, whatever it is you're doing, you may get like a Reddit post or some blog that's specifically answering that question, or it's referencing that. And so I think over the last 4 weeks specifically, back mid-April, so I guess a month and a half, I've been trying to create more blogs that are directly answering questions and reformatting the structure of my blogs. So like the first 1 to 2 sentences, I'm answering the question. That is the heading of the blog. And then something I haven't done, but I want to start doing is I have 200 plus short form videos of me speaking, or I just have short form videos on certain topics around Samslist and around certain topics related to accounting and finance. I need to include that in the very beginning as well. Like it's like the TLDR summary, and then it's a short video or a YouTube video. Like I just haven't done the long form videos yet. I would love to try because someone else recommended like those are performing well. So those are the 2 ads that I've implemented. And then instead of just having a generalistic FAQ section, I'm modifying those to be the PAA questions that Google is showing, because that's like they're literally telling you how to set it up. So I'm basically refactoring how we've historically been creating our SEO blogs, so that one, it's more personal. If there's anything I can chime in specifically Samslist related or Samslist angle, like I'm going to do that. So specifically to help with our current setup, I'm just changing kind of like the order of operations and the content that we're sharing within the blogs, so we can hit a couple of points and see how it goes. Funny enough, our top 2 blogs, almost every day now, we're getting inbound. It's not a lot, but like 3 people a day are coming to Samslist because they type in, why do financial advisors charge or recommend annuities? And we're getting ChatGPT inbound from that. And that's like again, it's not producing a ton of traffic for us, but like that was the first question-based page I made. It was a question I even had myself.
Yeah.
And like I can see that impact. I would also say, like, I don't really know what I'm doing at the end of the day. Like the reason I'm doing this and like trying to figure it out is because I'm not paying someone to do it for us. So like
Right.
it is sort of up to me. It's like Samslist will only get to where we want it to be, like hundreds of $1,000,000, if we can really nail down this SEO and AI SEO. What is it? AEO
There's
down.
so many. Yeah.
There's so many names for it. And it just happens to be like right now, it's sort of all up to me to figure this out. Because I'm terrible at seeking backlinks from people. So Samslist will only survive on search. So we got to figure it out. And I think there's a world where it will happen. It just hasn't yet.
I think this will be a really cool inside look on just like auditing like a pretty successful directory. You should tell people how they can support you.
I don't know how to make this more clear, but if you're listening to this and you can give me a backlink, or if you have considered looking for a financial advisor, accounting firm to outsource your accounting and finance to, or a fractional CFO, you just raised some money, you're trying to go from 5 million to 50 million, use Samslist, my friend. I made this website for you. Check it out, samslist.co. And I'm always open to hearing feedback, so you can reach me at Kimmy at samslist.co, or you can follow me on LinkedIn or TikTok. I think my name is not Kimi Green, but this was a lot of fun. Like I kind of said earlier at the beginning, with my Run Club directory that I tried to terribly build, like the resources available on how to build this stuff and like how to get them up and running and profitable, especially Frey, just like watch 5 of his videos and you're in good standing. So I appreciate your knowledge in this space, and hopefully I can have more to chat with you about once we get all of our pages up and running. Thanks for letting me kind of like candidly try to say how I have been trying to build this platform.